What happens when the world's most bankable movie star, a man built on discipline, charm, and unshakable control, suddenly finds himself cornered on live television? When smiles turn sharp, applause goes quiet, and one question crosses an invisible line. What happens when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, a symbol of calm strength, snaps back in a way no one saw coming? Before we go any further, if you love explosive celebrity moments like this, subscribe to Prime Talk right now, smash that like button, and drop a comment below, because stories like this are where the masks fall and the truth hits hard. The studio lights of The View burned brighter than usual that morning, reflecting off the polished table where decades of opinions had clashed, collided, and sometimes combusted. The audience buzzed with anticipation, a low hum of whispered excitement and camera shutters, because Dwayne Johnson wasn't just another guest. He was an event. As he stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a tailored suit that barely contained the athlete beneath it, the room erupted in applause. This was the man who conquered Hollywood, the wrestling ring, and the box office with the same relentless smile. The Rock waved, that familiar grin locked in place, eyes scanning the crowd like he'd done this 1,000 times before. And he had. Inside, though, something else stirred. He felt it the moment he sat down. A subtle shift in the air. The warmth was there, but underneath it, a tension hummed like a wire pulled too tight. Whoopi leaned back, relaxed. Joy smiled knowingly. Sunny adjusted her notes. And Ana Navarro, sharp-eyed, poised, already leaning forward, waited. The conversation started easy. Laughter flowed as they joked about his latest film, his insane workout routines, the way he seemed to be everywhere at once. Dwayne played along smoothly, tossing out charm like confetti, the audience eating up every word. This was familiar ground. Safe ground. He talked about hard work, gratitude, his fans. The applause came on cue. But Ana watched him closely, her head tilted slightly, fingers resting on the table. She wasn't here for small talk. And when her turn came, the temperature shifted. "So, Dwayne," she said, voice calm but deliberate, "you've built this incredible image, this symbol of positivity and strength. But some people say it's all very calculated." A ripple passed through the audience. Dwayne's smile didn't fade, but it tightened, just a fraction. Calculated. He'd heard that word before. He nodded politely. "I think anything worth building takes intention," he replied evenly. "Whether that's a career, a family, or values." Ana didn't blink. "Sure," she said, "but intention can also mean control. And lately, people are questioning whether your public persona leaves room for honesty, especially when it comes to controversial issues you've stayed quiet on." The applause didn't come this time. Instead, there was a pause. The kind that feels longer than it is. Dwayne felt it in his chest. This wasn't a casual jab. This was a challenge, delivered cleanly, confidently, on live TV. He shifted slightly in his chair, crossing his hands. His mind raced, not with panic, but with calculation of a different kind. Stay calm. Stay composed. That's what they expect. That's what he'd always done. But Ana wasn't finished. "You have influence over millions," she continued, leaning in now. "Don't you think silence, at times, sends a message too?" A murmur rolled through the crowd. Someone gasped softly. Cameras zoomed in, catching the flicker in Dwayne's eyes, the smile finally gone. For a moment, he said nothing. The silence thickened, pressing down on the table, the lights, the audience holding its breath. Inside him, something old stirred. Not the movie star. Not the brand. The man who'd fought for respect, who'd been doubted, labeled, boxed in. He exhaled slowly. "Ana," he said, voice low, measured. "I don't owe the world my opinion on everything." The audience reacted instantly, some applause, some uneasy shifting in seats. Ana raised her eyebrows, unshaken. "But when you profit from being a role model," she shot back, "doesn't that come with responsibility?" There it was. The line. Dwayne felt it cross him like a spark against skin. His jaw tightened. He leaned forward now, matching her energy, his massive frame suddenly very still. "Let me be clear," he said, the warmth gone from his tone. "Responsibility doesn't mean performing outrage on demand." The crowd audibly reacted. An ooh rippled across the studio. Whoopi glanced sideways. Joy's smile faded. This wasn't playful banter anymore. Dwayne continued, words coming faster now, fueled by something deeper. "I've lived responsibility. I've fed families, built opportunities, lifted people up when no cameras were around. Just because I don't broadcast every belief doesn't mean I lack integrity. Ana didn't retreat. No one's questioning your charity, she said. They are questioning your courage. That word landed hard. For a split second, Dwayne's control wavered. His eyes flashed, and the audience saw it, the crack in the armor. He straightened, shoulders squared, voice rising just enough to cut through the room. My courage, he said sharply, was built long before Hollywood, long before applause. And I won't have it measured by sound bites. The studio erupted, applause clashing with stunned silence, people unsure which side they were on. The tension was electric, raw, impossible to ignore. This wasn't the smiling rock anymore. This was Dwayne Johnson, stripped of polish, speaking from a place that felt dangerously real. Ana held his gaze, unblinking. The moment stretched, two powerful personalities locked in a silent standoff as millions watched from home. And everyone could feel it. This was only the beginning. The applause that followed the break announcement felt hollow, like a reflex rather than relief. As the cameras cut away, the studio lights dimmed just slightly, but the tension refused to leave. Dwayne Johnson sat still, hands clasped, staring at the glossy surface of the table as if it might offer answers. The noise of the audience faded into a distant hum, replaced by the pounding in his chest. He had faced boos in sold-out arenas, critics tearing apart his films, executives doubting his instincts. But this felt different. This was personal. This was live. And this was unfolding in front of millions. Across from him, Ana Navarro leaned back in her chair, exhaling slowly. Her face was composed, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of something else, thoughtfulness, maybe even surprise. She hadn't expected him to push back this hard. No one ever really did. Stagehands moved quietly. Makeup assistants hovered. Producers whispered urgently just off camera, their voices tight with concern. Someone asked Dwayne softly if he needed water. He nodded without looking up, taking a sip as if grounding himself. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him, the realization that no matter what happened next, clips of this exchange were already being cut, uploaded, framed, and judged. When the lights flared back to full brightness, the audience straightened instinctively. This wasn't just another segment anymore. This was something people would talk about. Whoopi returned to her seat first, her expression serious now, the humor drained away. All right, she said carefully, we're back. Dwayne lifted his head. His face had settled into calm again, but it was the calm of someone bracing for impact. Ana turned toward him once more, her voice measured, almost softer than before. Dwayne, I want to be clear, she said. This isn't about attacking you. It's about the power you hold, and what people hope you'll do with it. A few nods rippled through the audience. Dwayne listened, really listened, his eyes never leaving her face. When he spoke, his voice was lower now, steadier, but edged with emotion. I understand that hope, he said. I carry it every day. But I also carry the reality that no matter what I say, someone will feel betrayed. Sonny leaned in again, sensing the opening. But does fear of backlash ever stop you from saying what you truly believe? That question landed harder than any before. Dwayne paused, and in that pause, the audience leaned forward as one. He could have deflected. He could have smiled. Instead, he swallowed. Yes, he said quietly. A sharp intake of breath rippled across the studio. Yes, he repeated, louder now. Because words have consequences. Real ones. And I refuse to pretend otherwise. Ana's eyes widened just slightly. The honesty had shifted the ground beneath them. But fear doesn't have to equal silence, she replied. Sometimes courage is speaking even when it costs you. Dwayne nodded slowly, as if acknowledging a truth he didn't want to face. And sometimes courage, he countered, is choosing action over noise. The audience split again, applause clashing with murmurs. The divide was palpable. Dwayne felt it like a fault line running through the room. He leaned forward, voice gaining strength. You want to talk about impact, he said. I've built schools, funded programs, changed lives quietly. No hashtags. No applause. Ana leaned in too now, mirroring him. Quiet change is powerful, she said. But public leadership is too. Their words overlapped, collided, neither fully yielding. The conversation had become a tug-of-war between philosophies, visibility versus substance, voice versus action. Joy tried again to lighten the moment. I mean, if nothing else, this is one of the most honest conversations we've had in a while, she said, glancing nervously at the audience. This time, a few laughs broke through, thin but present. Dwayne allowed himself a small smile, brief, fleeting. Honesty isn't always comfortable, he said. But it's necessary. Ana studied him, her tone shifting again, less confrontational, more reflective. Do you ever worry, she asked, that people see your silence as indifference? The question hung heavy. Dwayne's jaw tightened. He looked out at the audience, at faces filled with expectation, skepticism, admiration, doubt. He felt exposed in a way no film role had ever done to him. Yes, he admitted. And that hurts, because indifference is the one thing I've never been. The room grew quiet. Even the cameras seemed to pause. Ana nodded slowly. Then maybe, she said carefully, this is the moment people see that. For a split second, something shifted between them, not agreement, not surrender, but understanding. The audience sensed it too, releasing a collective breath. Whoopi seized the opening. I think what we're seeing here, she said, is two people who care deeply, but see responsibility through different lenses. Applause followed, steadier this time. Dwayne leaned back, shoulders relaxing just a fraction. But inside, the storm still churned. He knew this conversation wouldn't stay contained within these walls. It would spill onto social media, into headlines, into arguments he'd never even see. Ana broke the quiet one last time, her voice firm but respectful. Dwayne, whether you like it or not, people look to you. And maybe they don't need perfection, just presence. He met her gaze, holding it longer than before. And maybe, he replied, presence doesn't always mean speaking the loudest. The audience applauded again, louder now, but layered with uncertainty. No winner, no clean ending, just a clash that left cracks in the surface. As the segment wrapped, Dwayne felt the adrenaline begin to fade, replaced by something heavier. Reflection, doubt, resolve. He rose from his chair to shake hands, the cameras catching the polite smiles, the surface calm. But beneath it all, one truth echoed louder than any applause. This moment wasn't over. It was only beginning. The moment the cameras stopped rolling, the studio didn't relax, it buzzed. Conversations erupted in hushed but frantic tones, producers speaking into headsets, assistants moving with purpose as if trying to outrun the energy that had been unleashed. Dwayne Johnson stood from his chair, towering over the table now, his face composed but distant. He shook hands, exchanged polite nods, the practiced ritual of television goodbyes playing out automatically. But his mind was somewhere else entirely. As he walked backstage, applause still echoing faintly behind him, the weight of what had just happened settled into his shoulders. He loosened his tie slightly, breathing deeper, slower. This wasn't the clean exit he was used to. This wasn't a triumphant promo stop or a friendly interview clipped into a feel-good montage. This was confrontation, and it followed him like a shadow. Down the hallway, a producer caught up to him. You handled that well, she said quickly, almost nervously. Really well. Dwayne nodded, offering a small smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. We'll see, he replied. Inside the green room, the door closed softly behind him, muting the outside noise. The silence felt heavy. He dropped into a chair, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. For the first time since sitting at the table, he let himself feel it all, the frustration, the pride, the doubt. Had he said too much? Not enough. He replayed Ana's words in his head. History doesn't remember careful. His phone buzzed. Then again. And again. He picked it up. Notifications stacked on top of each other, faster than he could read. Clips were already circulating. Headlines forming in real time. Dwayne Johnson clashes with Ana Navarro on The View. The Rock snaps back on live TV. Fans divided after heated exchange. He scrolled slowly, jaw tightening. Some comments praised him for standing his ground, calling him authentic, fearless. Others accused him of dodging responsibility, hiding behind charity and charm. The divide was sharp, immediate, unforgiving. Back on set, Ana Navarro sat quietly as her makeup was touched up. The adrenaline that had fueled her words was fading, replaced by contemplation. She stared into the mirror, replaying the exchange from her own perspective. She hadn't intended to provoke a firestorm, but she also didn't regret the questions. Power demanded scrutiny. Always had. Sonny leaned over. That was intense, she said softly. Ana nodded. It needed to be. But do you think he heard you? Sonny asked. Ana paused, then exhaled. I think he did, she said. Whether he agrees is another story. Meanwhile, the audience spilled out into the streets, phones already in hand, voices raised, opinions cemented. Some argued passionately, others laughed nervously, everyone sensing they'd witnessed something rare, unscripted truth breaking through the polished veneer of daytime television. Within hours, social media ignited. Hashtags trended. Short clips looped endlessly, stripped of context, amplified by captions dripping with bias. One side framed Dwayne as a principled man refusing to be manipulated. The other painted him as a powerful figure unwilling to take a stand. There was no middle ground online. There never was. Dwayne sat in the back of a car, city lights streaking past the windows, his phone resting face down beside him now. He'd stopped scrolling. There was no winning there. Instead, his thoughts drifted inward, to moments long before fame, sleeping on a friend's couch, wondering if he'd ever make it, promising himself that if he did, he'd stay true. True to what? The question gnawed at him. His publicist called, her voice calm but urgent. "This is blowing up," she said. "We need to decide if you're responding." Dwayne closed his eyes briefly. Respond. Clarify. Apologize. Double down. The familiar playbook unfolded in his mind. "Not yet," he said finally. "I need time." Time was the one thing the internet never allowed. By evening, news panels were dissecting the moment frame by frame. Body language experts weighed in. Commentators chose sides. Some praised Ana for holding a powerful man accountable. Others accused her of ambushing a guest. The narrative fractured into 1,000 competing truths. Ana watched one such panel from her living room, arms crossed, expression unreadable. She heard her own words echoed back at her, distorted, sharpened. She also heard Dwayne's, his quiet admission of fear replayed again and again. Something about that stuck with her. It had been real. Rarely did people with his level of fame admit that. She picked up her phone, hesitated, then set it back down. Not yet, she thought. Late that night, Dwayne sat alone on his patio, the city finally quieting below. He stared out into the darkness, hands clasped loosely. The noise of the day faded, leaving only the echo of the studio, the lights, the eyes, the question that had started it all. He wasn't angry anymore. He was thoughtful, maybe even unsettled. For years, he believed that leading by example meant staying above the fray. But what if the fray had changed? What if silence now spoke louder than words ever could? His phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from someone unexpected. Ana Navarro. He stared at the screen, surprised. The message was short. No accusations. No debate. Whether we agree or not, it read, "I respect that you stayed in the conversation." Dwayne exhaled slowly, a weight lifting just slightly. He typed, then erased, then typed again. "Respect goes both ways," he finally sent. Not an easy conversation, but an honest one. He set the phone down, looking back out into the night. The clash on The View had ended hours ago, but its ripples were still spreading, through media, through public opinion, through his own sense of responsibility. Tomorrow, the world would demand more words, more clarity, more answers. But for now, in the quiet space between reactions and responses, Dwayne Johnson sat with a truth he could no longer ignore. Whatever came next wouldn't be scripted. Morning arrived without mercy. The sun rose, headlines multiplied, and the clash from The View hardened into a full-blown cultural moment. By the time Dwayne Johnson opened his eyes, his name dominated trending lists across platforms. Clips from the show played on endless loops, his tightened jaw, Ana Navarro's unwavering stare, the exact second the audience gasped. Each frame had been turned into a verdict by someone, somewhere. Dwayne sat at the edge of his bed, phone in hand, scrolling slowly now, deliberately. Overnight, the conversation had grown louder, sharper. Celebrities weighed in. Athletes defended him. Activists challenged him. Fans argued with fans. Families argued at breakfast tables. Co-workers whispered in hallways. It wasn't just about him anymore. It was about what people expected from power, from fame, from silence. He read one comment that stuck with him longer than the rest. "I love The Rock, but I wanted to hear Dwayne." He locked the screen. Across the city, Ana Navarro stood in a makeup chair at another studio, preparing for a panel discussion she'd been invited to at the last minute. Her phone buzzed constantly, but she barely checked it now. She already knew the narrative being built around her, hero to some, villain to others. She'd lived in that space before. What felt different this time was the weight of the exchange itself. It hadn't been performative. It hadn't been cruel. It had been collision. When the cameras came on, the host asked the inevitable question. Do you regret what you said to Dwayne Johnson on The View? Ana didn't hesitate. No, she said. But I also don't regret listening. That answer sparked another wave online. Meanwhile, footage from the original episode crossed 10 million views in less than 24 hours. Comment sections exploded with debates that stretched for thousands of replies. Some praised Dwayne for refusing to be pressured. Others accused him of hiding behind goodwill. Memes appeared. So did think pieces. Late-night hosts joked about it. Podcasts dissected it. The moment had escaped its origin and become something bigger, messier. That afternoon, Dwayne finally spoke, not on a stage, not in an interview, but in a simple post. No dramatic music. No hashtags screaming for attention. I believe in impact, he wrote. I also believe in listening. Yesterday reminded me that leadership is evolving, and so must I. The response was immediate. Some applauded. Some demanded more. But for the first time since the show, the tone shifted. The anger softened into curiosity. What would he do next? The audience from The View, now watching from their couches, recognized something too. That exchange had cracked open a door rarely seen on daytime television, a moment where no one won, but everyone felt something real. Ratings surged. Critics called it one of the most intense unscripted conversations the show had aired in years. Behind the scenes, producers replayed the footage again and again, aware they'd captured lightning. Not because voices were raised, but because truths were tested. Days later, Dwayne and Ana crossed paths again, this time at a charity event far from studio lights. No cameras hovered. No applause waited on cue. They exchanged a brief smile, a nod. No debate. No follow-up confrontation. Just acknowledgement. Sometimes, that was enough. But the public conversation didn't fade quickly. If anything, it deepened. Universities discussed it in media ethics classes. Commentators cited it as an example of shifting expectations placed on celebrities. Fans continued to argue, but with more nuance now, more willingness to hear the other side. And somewhere in that noise, something subtle but important had changed. Viewers weren't just asking, who was right, anymore. They were asking, what do we expect from the people we elevate? That question lingered long after the clips stopped trending. The clash on The View became a reference point, a reminder that even the most polished figures can be pulled into uncomfortable honesty, and that sometimes, the most powerful moments aren't scripted victories, but unresolved conversations that force reflection. And now, that question passes to you. Did Dwayne Johnson do the right thing by standing his ground? Or did Ana Navarro expose a truth that needed to be confronted? Was this a moment of courage, or a missed opportunity? Drop your opinion in the comments below. Your voice matters here. If you want more explosive, cinematic, and emotionally charged stories like this, where celebrities collide, masks slip, and real moments unfold, make sure you subscribe to Prime Talk right now. Like this video, share it with someone who loves intense talk show drama, and stay tuned. Because on Prime Talk, we don't just recap moments. We put you inside them.